This is my dear friend Lori. So Lori and I met in Bible college, actually, as we were doing our adult learning and striving to get that degree to open doors so we could serve the populations that we so love to serve. God is just so good because, I mean, we were just kind of acquaintances at that time. We were classmates, and then we drifted apart, and God just kept intersecting our lives. Lori got her degree, her bachelor's degree, but also she is an author. She's written a book that I just read all the way through and got to know her at a deeper level. She is on a radio station in Washington, Warm 106.9. So she's a radio DJ. She is a certified recovery coach, life coach. She started a day center for women in Washington State, and it was Esther's Place. And because we know that women, we get a lot of calls here at Hartford Winter Haven, call from Miguel living in a storage unit. And women need to be safe at night. So they're on high alert because to go to sleep at night for women is typically at night is not a safe thing. So Esther's Place provided that safe place for women if they just wanted to come and zonk out for a little bit. And they also did intensive wraparound services. Would love, love, love to see that here in the Winter Haven area for that need. But and Lori and I have just become friends. We're business partners through the home-based business that we have. And so our friendship has really blossomed in the last year or so. I took the recovery coach training with another gal. I left that training going, is it me or it just felt incomplete? And so I did it again with Lori as a trainer last summer. And it's so rich, and we see such a need for it here. So Mike and Kathy and Dia and Derek and Darian and, you know, people are definitely interested because they see the need for it. And Kathy and Mike also work in the jail. They're very passionate about connecting women, getting them prepared as they're released, getting them connected in that community. Recovery coaching can be just such a great addition to anybody, you know, in addition to counseling and 12 steps and having a recovery coach and any type of other fellowship and helps that they're getting. So with that said, I just want to give way to Lori and let her explain what it looks like to take the training and what benefit will come out of that. And then I know there's going to be a time of questions and answers.
So funny. I was thinking you were going to introduce them to me. So do you want to tell me about your guests?
Beauty of who's on here right now is both Mike and Kathy, Gia and Derek. They made their exodus from their states as well and landed in Florida.
So, well, while she's joining, Kathy and Mike, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourselves?
We can just briefly, but we came down from Michigan last August, so we've been here just under a year. When we came down, among the top things that we said we were going to do was to try to work in the prison system and in the hospital system. And, you know, we got down here and started doing it. We knew there was a need, but, well, I can say myself personally, I was overwhelmed with the amount when I see like so many homeless, so many on drugs, so many in desperate situations. You know, it's a bit naive, but you know, when we always thought of Florida as just like sun and warm and vacation and everybody was smiling and happy and everybody had a full belly and was just clean and beautiful. And we came down here and we saw such a great need. And so our objective is to reach as many people as we can to try to get the tools to help as many people as we can help with housing, with retraining them how to live and function and to stay off drugs and things like that. And so we're really just committed. And I mean, it's true. I mean, the harvest is certainly plentiful and the laborers are few. We just want to be two more of the laborers doing the work.
The key things that, you know, that really I'm excited about doing this training. We have done a few, we are chaplains. So we have done a lot of trainings with IFOC, International Fellowship of Chaplain. So we have done a lot of trainings, but we just try to grab whatever we can because knowledge is power. And one of the things we deal with at the prison and at the jail where we volunteer, the women coming out, a lot of them are addicts. And we need to understand because we are not addicts. We don't know what that is like really. So we really want to understand from their point of view what's going on with them. Like they come out, we're excited, and we have one relapse, so that really took us down. I think doing this training will really help us to have a clearer understanding of what goes through the mind of an addict and what we need to do to help them to be strong.
Mhm.
Dee, you guys want to tell me about you a little bit?
Well, my whole idea of helping women, I can't speak for Derek, was a dream that I had years ago. In a nutshell, there were two sets of women in cages and in a warehouse, and they appeared to be distraught. Every walk of life, they were being used, and it was just and they had given up. And I petitioned, it appeared to be someone from heaven. This is a dream to help the women. I didn't know how I was going to help them. I didn't know I could help them. But from that dramatic dream, I've been on a quest to find out what I can do to help these women, because I take my dream seriously.
Well, for me, I've had 30 plus years of being a public servant, and I've seen a lot of things. And unfortunately, some things are where people need extra help. And sometimes that guidance is not only coming from traditional ways, but from other people. So I think that gleaning off of what they need and what possibilities of learning to things that I can give them, that would be a desire at this point for me.
Well, I see your heart and you all want to help, and that's so awesome. And I've been a coach, a life coach, since 1998, when everyone thought it was woo-woo. My church gave me an office and then they got scared and they took it away. So I've been able to use my coaching skills in a lot of different ways. I helped with Big Brother, Big Sister. And the thing about coaching is it's empowering. And so with chaplaincy, you're doing that. You're walking into situations where people are in big grief. I would say maybe a little bit of the difference is with recovery coaching, you learn all the stages of recovery as well as change. But often when you step in as the coach, there's some idea that they're ready to take the next step. We're not dragging them. We have here what's called the Recovery Cafe. They partnered with CCAR. That's the name of the training, CCAR, Recovery Coach Academy. You can find it online. So this is a nationally certified program. And what we're finding is hospitals are now wanting to hire recovery coaches, so that when people get out of there, once they've detoxed or whatever, they can send them on their way with a coach to check in with them. What I love about coaching is when you think about addiction, a lot of times you think about sponsors. Sponsors are there to kick your butt. You say, oh, I'm having a bad day. They're like, oh yeah, I don't think so. Where's your gratitude? A sponsor has been there, done that, and they're not going to put up with any crap. Counselors diagnose you, help see where you might have some childhood trauma that you need to look at. So that's a whole different thing. And with coaching, what I love about it, and you guys have experienced this if you've worked in the prisons or helped people, when you listen, you could say nothing and let somebody talk for 5-10 minutes and they will thank you. And you're like, but I didn't do anything, but you listened. And we're in a world right now where nobody listens. And the problem with addicts now is when they come out, there's a lot of services, but they have to jump through every hoop. Nothing is about them and what they want. In order to get housing, you have to do this and this and this, which I understand. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. So when they come to coaching, I coach through the cafe for most of my recovery people. They are going to maybe get a housing voucher or a gas voucher. And so when they come to me, they're just checking the box. You'll see when you take the course, there's a whole wellness plan. There's a whole way of coaching. And I'll ask them, what they want. And they're like, well, what do you need me to do? And I said, I need you to dream a little. I need you to start to think about what you want. And so often, like someone will say, well, you're really good at computers. You should go get a job. And then they think I'm helping you. And they start pushing them to go get that job at computers. And that person is like, that's the last thing in the world I want to do. So often with the helping ministries, we want to help, but it's our idea that we're putting on other people.
That's right. Yeah.
What I believe, and it sounds like you all love the Lord, is I can look at Donna and say, Donna, I think you should do this. when I hear her heart. But the truth is, God's speaking to her heart. And when I start interfering, I might actually, like, we have a common friend. His name is Johnny Ray. He has an organization called 5 Hour Recovery. So once you take my class, I have a coaching collaborative, and we meet every month and we talk about coaching and what we can do with it and how to support each other. And he called me, he goes, I'm sorry I wasn't in your class. I should do that. And I go, no, you shouldn't. And he goes, well, yes, I should. And I go, no, you shouldn't do it, because if you have to and you should, then you're not gonna get anything out of it. And quite frankly, I don't want you. If that's why if you're coming because you should, it's not for me, it's for you. So what I love about coaching is that separation. It's not my agenda. And we just wrapped up a 10-week course. It goes so fast. And I'll tell you, at the end, everyone's sad. Everyone's sad. And one guy who had just gotten out of prison, and he's on fire to go to school. In the meantime, he's becoming a coach. He said, I'm really having a hard time with remembering it's not about me, that I'm meeting with these people and it's about them. And so we had a long talk about that. And then we did talk about how it is about us, because if we don't stay connected, stay in self-growth, and take good care of ourselves. I mean, when you're talking about working with prisoners, you're going to hear some stories. If we don't have really good self-care, we're not going to be able to hear the stories too long, right? Because it's going to wear on us. Mike Starbird is coming on.
Yep. So Mike is out of Washington.
Oh,
And Mike has a powerful testimony. I would let him share that if he wants to. So I'm glad he's willing, because he rides on my faith. I said, Mike, I think you'd make an amazing recovery coach, not just because he's in recovery or he's recovered by the power of Jesus, but he just would. So I'm kind of doing some anti-coaching, what we're just talking about, like
you're shitting all over him.
Shitting all over. You should do this, Mike.
I
Let
love
me tell
it.
you why. Just right on my faith, brother.
Well, I'm glad you're here. I love your glasses.
My wife's glasses.
I don't know if you want to take a few minutes right now and kind of share your testimony.
Well, I'm 61.
Oh, that's why he
years.
can't put his glasses on, right?
Without the glasses, I can't see you all. Anyways, it's been a long time running amok, you could say. Got in a lot of trouble with the law. So I did go to prison. Lord got a hold of me in the county jail. What year that was, 2004 or something like that. No, 2008. And my whole life is completely different. I read the Bible every day. So I live a completely different life today, 11 years and 8 months sober.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I install floors, so I'm still in the construction industry. It's hard on the body, but that's for sure. I'm a down on my knees prayer. So I guess for the most part, I'm a goofball.
Well, thank you for being here. And I'm going to take a minute and show you some slides. The Recovery Coach Academy, Connected Community for Addictions and Recovery. This is what you will learn at this academy. I love this because I show it every week and we check off what we know. At the end of the 10-week academy, you will be able to describe the roles and functions of a recovery coach, list the components, core values, and guiding principles of recovery, build skills to enhance relationships, explore many dimensions of recovery and recovery coaching. We always say there are many pathways to recovery, and some people are not cool with that. And so It's really fun to see people really start to work through how that works. And also we have a saying, and a lot of people aren't cool with this either, is you are in recovery when you say you are. Yes. And often organizations, and I understand they have grants, they have to have some boundaries, but they're like, yeah, no, you're not quite in recovery yet. Discovering attitudes about self-disclosure and sharing your story. Because as we know in AA and all of that, we share our story. But when you're a coach, you want to share your story, but you also don't want to make it about you. So even though your story matters and you matter, it's not always appropriate. So we learn about that. Understand the stages of recovery. And I think that's one thing of people that aren't in recovery from drugs and alcohol. So often I get parents will call me and they'll go, good, they're clean and sober, let's go. And it's like, this is a process. right? They've got to kind of unlearn some bad habits. They've got to get some time in and, do the work and start getting a little bit established. It's not just you're off drugs and now you're good. Plus that a lot of them have brain fog for a really long time. A lot of them lie, and they do it so instinctually. When I ran Esther's place, one of the ladies that had now started volunteering, she'd been off the streets, come in and ended up with some housing and was volunteering. I love her so much. Her name's Kat. And we always tell everyone, don't put your phone down. Well, one of my volunteers standing next to me put her phone down, and Kat put her hand on the phone. I didn't even look at her. And then she looked at me and she goes, "It's force of habit." And she picked her hand up. Now I knew she wasn't going to steal that phone because I know her and I know her clean and sober. But I love so much that she was able to just force of habit. They're not who they are. So when people volunteer, they get clean and sober, they come to Esther's, they get clean and sober, they come back and volunteer. And then they tell their story and they go, when I was in jail just up the road, and it kills me because I don't see them that way because they've done so much work. We'll be able to describe the stages of change and their applications. We have increased awareness of culture, power, and privilege. And that is so powerful. I know we're doing a lot of work around it, but doing it in the class is really powerful. Address ethical and boundary issues. A lot of times people will start a ministry and they'll just say, "Hey, I'm a coach," and they'll start coaching someone. They become friends and pals, and those lines get a little blurred. And when you're working for an organization, you got to know what your boundaries are. Like at the cafe, I can't buy anybody anything or give them a ride. And that protects me and it protects them. So there are a lot of things around that. Experience the recovery wellness planning, which is so awesome because it's a way of coaching to look at your spiritual, your mental, and mental, emotional might be the same, physical, as well as recovery, because a lot of people get into recovery. And this happened to one of the girls. She got into recovery, all the recovery houses, if they get food cards, they buy food. So they wanted their money to go a long way. They buy a lot of bad food because it's inexpensive. They gain weight. Well, she couldn't stand it. She was young. She wanted to maybe get a boyfriend, have a family. And she went back on drugs because she couldn't stand being fat. So we want to help people learn about nutrition. A lot of people, when they come into drug use, maybe childhood trauma, so many of these people, even their parents have used, they don't even know how to sweep a floor. They don't know these things. And that's where a lot of the shame comes in. They're like, "I'm 36, I should know things." Well, not if you were never taught. So again, the wellness planning helps them get a plan of what they want to work on. They want to work on their spiritual, they want to work on their health, they want to work on all of it. It's really up to them. And then the best part, I think Donna will tell you this, is practicing the skills. And I'll tell you what, no matter how long you've been coaching or been in service to people, when somebody actually listens to you for 5 minutes and doesn't interrupt, a lot of people going, I don't really have anything to talk about. I'm like, go ahead, give it a try. It's such a gift. And I think listening is the best gift that we can ever give anyone. Let's take your questions. I just kind of overwhelm you.
Do we have to pay a fee for the training?
So what I told Donna's boss, if we could get 10 people to take the class, I would charge $300, and he's going to work on maybe getting a scholarship. The academy charges $850. Normally I charge $650. The people that take the class that are right out of recovery, there's a lot more resources for them. They can go to the Carnegie Hall and get a grant. WorkSource will actually pay for this training. When Donna and I had the conversation, the plan was to try to get a scholarship or a grant to try to pay for the class. What they normally do is a 5-day, all day long. But who can do that, right? Who can take every day off work? So I do it 3 hours a week for 10 weeks. If that was too much, we might be able to move it out to 15 weeks, which seems like a lot, but it's such a great class. You look forward to it. You look forward to seeing everyone. And whatever you come with to this class, you're giving to other people, whatever your experience. And every class is different. And every class I learned so much because everybody brings so much wisdom and knowledge. And curiosity that it makes it just so fun. It's very structured. I think Donna has the book there. And this manual, you hold on to this and you just will use it over and over. There's articles in the back. And then on the CCAR website, they have like the founder's video of how he came up with this. And as a coach for over 30 years, I condone this program because not only do they tell about, recovery and the stages and the denial and all of that, but also they really talk about active listening and how important that is. And that it's like, we can really easy, if we've been there, we can really easy tell people what to do and how to get to the next, but that's not necessarily the best thing for them. Yes, national certificate. Hospitals here now are starting to hire recovery coaches. A lot of housing programs are starting to hire recovery coaches. You may have a recovery cafe in your area. I know that they're national. They make good use of the recovery coaches. And you can just hang your shingle out and do it from home. When you think about it, a lot of the clients that I got early on at Esther's Place, I came to this not knowing a lot, but I learned from my ladies that I had women that were psychiatrists, nurses. They had surgery. They got on opioids. They didn't know they were addicted. When the prescription was out, somebody gave them heroin, and within days, they lost everything. One girl, 10 years later, after being in recovery for almost 10 years, just now this year, might be able to see her kids who are in their late teens now.
Search. So the closest one, and this is actually good news because it means that this territory is very ripe. The closest one and the only one in the whole state of Florida is in Daytona Beach. That is the only recovery cafe. Wow. So instead of looking at like, wow, it's like, wow, like this is an opportunity. And if I could just speak to what it did for me, because what I've recognized, and it's just helped me in so many different areas, is that, and I will own this, when I did it the first time around, hearing that people are in recovery when they say that they are, that was like what was that? Because I know what recovery looks like to me. And that doesn't change. My opinion does not change because of the training. But what I realize is that we are going to so limit ourselves to the population that we're serving if everyone is going to have the same mindset as we do in this area. Now, all of us love Jesus, and we know that he is the way, the truth, and the life. But there's a lot of people, like we can attest that we've seen people, about everybody that I've talked to in jail is professing to have a relationship in Christ. People that I meet with here, and our need is very, very great. The resources are not enough to support the need. The resources are overwhelmed, is that people are professing a relationship in Christ, but they're still in bondage. And so, I mean, we can say, look, you need to grab a hold of this holiness doctrine if you're ever going to get this right. Do they? Well, yeah, but I mean, we can't, it's not that I have the answer. I need to make you see that answer. It is really about active listening. I pray all the time, Lord, I got nothing. Give me something here. And he's always faithful to do that. But also people will say, thank you so much for listening. I'm just talking about in my job, people are calling for vouchers, rent assistance, all these things that just aren't available right now. But it's opened up my mind to, instead of getting into fix it mode and I need to have an answer right now, is really that active listening, and then just seeking the Spirit on, Lord, help me to, hear what it is that they're really saying, because they'll vomit their whole life out. They're like, because they're trying to qualify themselves, right? Please accept me. Please hear my story.
We teach motivational interviewing. We teach a lot about good questions and not so good questions. Is there a state or national exam? No. Once you take the class, you have to show up, and I have to note that you did show up. Then you have to do a teacher evaluation, and then they give you the link for a certificate. And I tell everyone, as soon as you get that link, print it. Because it's so funny how, it's like you do all this hard work to get a certificate and then you don't print it. So there's 3 types of questions. Yes or no? Do you want to go to the store? Yes or no? Either or. Do you want spaghetti or macaroni? And then there's the open-ended question. And we work really hard to learn how to ask open-ended questions. And like a lot of times when people get stuck, it's because they start to get in their own head, they want to fix. because we're problem solvers. That's what we do. But when we're really curious and we believe that person is the expert on themselves, given some space to explore that, right? Might mean they have to take a few wrong steps and trip a little. But when we really believe that and hold that space and believe the best in them, then they can start believing the best in themselves. But if we're always saying you need to do this and this and this, a lot of people will just do it. A lot of people think they want that, but really when it comes down to it, we want to be our own thinkers, and we're teaching them how to think for themselves and critical thinking, so that they don't just get caught up in something. They actually think about what's going to happen and the consequences, and is relapse worth it, and those types of things. Some people come to it because they are addicts, and so they come with that experience. I've never been a drug addict or alcoholic. I come from it, my family, and I have a son who's a drug addict. But that's one of the first questions most of the ladies ask me is, what are you in recovery for? But I do say I work with the population, and I've been a coach since 1998. And I think that when they know, they may not go, oh, well, you know where I've been, but when they know you're really going to listen and that you're really there for them and you're not just there to tell them what to do, that's when relationship happens. This one gal is so great. She's graduated out of the program, but she would always go, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And I'd be like, I think you do. She's like, I hate you. Right? Because if I told her what to do and she did it, guess what? She's got someone to blame. But what happened is now she just got a new job, and then she got COVID. And what was so awesome is she was doing so poorly, so sick. And I asked her, I go, so what's different? And she goes, I'm coping. I'm letting people help me. I'm asking the right questions. I'm not freaking out thinking I'm going to get fired. I'm just going, okay, I got to take care of myself and be home and communicate with my boss. I mean, such healthy adult things. How do we find the people in order to help them? That is such a good question. And that's what our coaching collaborative does. Now, you can find an organization to do this with. If you're working in prison, you know, those are going to be your people. So many people say saved by jail, just like you might. But also with social media, we live in this crazy world where if we start posting on social media, people are going to be like, oh, I know somebody who, and then I always recommend this is networking groups. Every city has networking, either breakfast, coffee, lunch, afternoon, networking groups, Lions Club, whatever. You go, you tell them what you do. And on the coaching collaborative, we work on getting your elevator speech so that when someone says, what do you do? And you want to tell me you're a coach, you can tell them a quick story that will help them understand what it is that you do. And that way, it helps get you out there, because whether you work with an organization or on your own, my commitment is to get as many coaches out there as possible, because we have a problem. Mike, do you have any questions?
Not yet.
Have you ever worked with a coach, or do you know?
My coach is Jesus, but I never really worked with a coach.
Yeah, there's a great book called Jesus Life Coach by Lori Beth Jones. And I was so mad when I saw it because I wanted to write it, because Jesus asked the questions, didn't he?
Yeah, he's my healer.
Yep. He asked the questions. And the thing about a coach is we walk beside, and a lot of people, when they become coaches, they want to say, I help people. And yes, you do. But if you think about yourself in those shoes, if someone comes to you and says, hey, I want to help you, it's kind of off-putting. So we work on ways to say how we walk beside, we listen. Like so many times, somebody knows what they need. If someone would just give them a minute to just say everything they need to say, and then they'll go, have you ever done that where you go, oh, I've got this problem and blah, blah, blah. And you go, oh yeah, I figured it out. But somebody gave you the space. And then even better, they might validate you and be like, yeah, I knew you'd figure that out. Wow. Because we're working with a population that has lost their feeling of worthiness. And even, if they get well and then they relapse, they have to deal with that, that comeback. So it's just understanding how to meet them where they are.
Yeah, I heard something last night, and I was telling the ladies, because I'm facilitating an anger dynamics class in jail, and I go on Thursday nights, and I'm so curious, and I asked them if it's okay if because I'm learning, and so I was learning about the quarantine process the first 2 weeks that they're incarcerated and what that looks like and the why of it. Some of them have served time in different facilities, but they say that when some people are detoxing, they'll give them this concoction that's kind of like a Gatorade or electrolyte, and they call it junk. The corrections officers or the system calls it junkie juice. Just the dignity that is lost through the life that they've been in. And another reason to try to avoid telling people what to do is because if they don't do it, it's like then they feel like they can't come back to us because we've told them what they should do and they failed us, so to speak.
Exactly.
Because how many times have a family said, I washed my hands clean of you, I'm done with you, because you just keep screwing up, you don't do what I tell you to do. And it is it is hard. Like the hardest is my kids, right? If I could my kids, I'd be magical, but I catch myself as a thing. Yeah. So
yeah, once you learn these coaching skills, they help you in every area of your life. And I've had women that are coming out of drugs and alcohol, and they're mad at their kids that their kids won't see them and won't let them see the kids. And I just asked, so when was the last time you did see the kids? Oh, well, that was when I drove drunk. Right. Okay. So I don't have to say anything. I just ask the questions because they have to prove themselves, and having a coach beside them, someone that will believe in them when their family won't yet, is really powerful. And I have one lady, she's relapsed in 3 years. She's relapsed 5 times, always within days she gets back. But she says, I don't know how you stick with me. And I said, I didn't stick with you. You kept calling me back. If you didn't call me back, then my job's over. When people really see the value and see that you believe in them and you see something they don't see, I call it's like holding that torch, holding the light until you can hand it to them and they can actually start to see the beautiful person that they've become.
Yeah.
I really have to say this is really coming to us at the right time, because being able to teach this class this term, and one of the things we tell the ladies, right now they're in jail, so they have no choice but to not take drugs.
Yeah.
So to be but when they leave the jail, then they have that choice.
Yeah.
That is what facing them. So while in jail is like, yeah, I love God, and you get all the, I believe in Jesus, and I can do this because they have their sobriety going on while they're in jail. But when they come out, it's who are you going to be with? Who are the people going to be around you? What places are you going to go? And all that stuff. And those are the things we try to teach them. But that's where the challenge comes in.
Yeah.
Because now they have the opportunity to make a choice.
Yeah.
Am I strong enough to keep my sobriety while I was in jail? Or am I going to lapse or whatever? So this really, really is important for us, this training, for us to understand also with the relapse issue and recovery. And, like one of our ladies did relapse. She was doing great. We were excited for her. She got to see her kids. Everything was going great. And when she relapsed, I just felt my heart sunk.
Yeah.
Michael too. But I keep praying for her that, she'll get back there. And then we have a Friday night dinner, and one of the ladies who attends the dinner, she spoke with us last Friday, and she said, I know how you feel, and I'm sure, but I have relapsed too. When, and it's been how many years? She said, 4, 5, or 11. I can't remember.
I can't remember. I thought it was like 6 years.
Yeah. But she explained to us it happens. So this is something we need to understand, because we never, been in drugs and all that. And when you said, they may want to know if you have anything to identify with what they're going through. So that at the beginning of the class, that's the one thing I tried to, I feel like I have to have something I could connect with them, so they can know, look, I'm understanding what, something what you're going through. So this is really, really important. This class is really important for us to do.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really a great class.
Yeah.
we also can help paint the picture for the future. What's it going to be like in 5 years when you've stayed clean and sober, when you are seeing your kids? You know, it gives them kind of like they've been living in survival, the here and now. Then we get to help them paint a picture of the future, which gives them that faith to start to hold on to. Wow, things might be better. They could be better.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure what the next step is, Donna, if your boss is going to want to schedule it, but you know, when I get enough people interested, would a weekday morning, well, for you, it would be afternoon, a weekday afternoon work better, or a weekend for a 3-hour class?
Afternoon, yes.
Weekday afternoon?
Weekday, well, for us, I don't know.
Okay.
Well, our schedule, we generally work in the afternoon, like 3 to 11. So we have more time in the morning, except for Saturday, we work 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So that's kind of out. So
But
the only
yeah,
other time would be,
Tuesday.
it would be in sometime in the morning or Sunday
No, but we do have
afternoon.
day off. We have Friday off. I don't know what days are available, but we do have Fridays
Tuesday and
off,
Friday.
Tuesday and Friday and Sunday. Well, Sunday we're in church and everything.
Okay.
But we go to work for 3.
Okay.
We have Tuesday off right now because class has finished at the jail.
Oh, okay.
We are not sure when the next class will be. So right now we have Tuesday off and Fridays off during the week. And Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, we go from 3 to 11.
When I've done it in the past, I've done a Wednesday and a Thursday at 8:30 a.m. my time,
Hmm.
which I think is 10 or 11 your time.
That would be fine.
Oh,
Okay.
that would be fine. That time is perfect for us.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Mhm.
We're open because we don't have any commitments at this particular time. So whatever day that the class would be available would be fine with us.
Okay. Anything else, Donna, that you can think I missed or?
No, I would just, having follow-up conversations with Brad Beatty, then I think his natural question is, once the training is done, like then what's next? Like how, especially if there's, funding to help to offset the cost, is like then what would be the next step? So, and we all understand that there's, as far as, I know what I would like to see, but if we could just pray, because we all are people of faith and we know that God can reveal, how this can be implemented. For myself personally, I was going to apply at the Recovery Cafe in Everett when we thought we were still staying in that area, but then when it became clear we were leaving, I would like to start under an agency's umbrella. That would be my hope. So I would like to start under the umbrella of Hartford Winter Haven. We do have a Center for Wellbeing here, and we have a new supervisor that's hired. So I've already been a bug in her ear. Better in the parking lot. I'm like, yeah, okay, hi. I'm Donna, and we hope to build a recovery coach training or a recovery coach program. So that's really the next step as
And
far as.
Wouldn't it be great if churches incorporated that? Somebody comes in and like.
Yes.
Often with churches, people come in and they give them a gas voucher or the food voucher. And it's like, how about let's just give them some coaching. Let's spend a few hours with them. Just listen to their story. Let them feel
Right.
really heard and loved. But, most
Mhm.
churches don't have a staff for that. So what if they could say, hey, we've got this recovery coach. Can we connect you with them? That would be so powerful.
Yeah, so a lot of us that live in this area, because a really big church is Heartland, isn't it Heartland?
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Heartland,
that one
yeah.
too.
They have counseling offices, and I found them. I was walking around on a break and they have they're in this beautiful building, and I went in there and I asked them if they had a recovery coach component to their counseling office, and they don't. So the opportunity is definitely there.
Yeah.
So it's just, praying for what's next. But I don't want to sit on this. I want to keep moving it forward because we know that things can grow cold.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's what I commit to do.
we'll follow up then and keep you all posted. And then as soon as, for me, I would like to start yesterday. I love teaching this. I love the class. I love what I get out of it. I love what everybody else gets out of it. So as soon as we can get things rolling, we'll let you all know and move forward from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah,
Sounds
I
good.
have a quick question. Are there organizations out there that give individual grants for people who want to take this training?
I don't know if individual, but I know like the cafe is all run on grants, government grants, different housing grants. And they they give them this lump sum of money, and coaching is part of it. Housing is part of it. Maybe gas vouchers is part of it. So right now there seems to be a lot of money available if you know where to find it. And I think that's the key, is finding out where it's coming from and how to access it, or finding an organization that has accessed it. And they're like, we got all this money and we're not quite sure, if they could say, if you see the value in coaching, say, if you could just put part of that for coaching. Because once people get in housing, let's keep supporting them till they get their job. They get a job and they get all pissed off because they're still in their recovery brain. They're still, kind of that addict, and they're not responding. They're just reacting to everything. So with a coach, they can start to learn how to act rather than react, and they can get that support to be successful in whatever they're doing next.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
There's several organizations looking to build a coaching program and have coaches available. And again, it's also new, because this program, I took it in 2015 when it was fairly new. So it's not that old. And we just want to get the warriors out there, and then, then organizations will be able to use them. It's kind of like build it and they will come. Okay, Donna, so you'll keep us all connected then. In the meantime, you can go to the C-CAR Recovery Coach Academy website. Also, if the ones that are working in the prison, the IF Project, have you heard of the IF Project?
Yeah.
No,
Out of Seattle, pretty amazing program, mentoring program that a
And
policeman
Bugatti.
actually started.
the IF project. Okay.
Yeah. I think she did a TED Talk. Well, thank you all for
Okay.
taking your time and showing up. And if you have more questions, Donna can get you in touch with me or answer them. And thank you for being interested. I look forward
Thank
to it.
you.
Thank you,
I
Lori.
hope we start soon.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Thank you.